1963, a year for victory, music, and grief.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
However, for many Americans, it was another year of living in an oppressive and hate-fueled society.
Birmingham played a major role in the civil rights movement. Though there are many things that happened in those terrible times, events in Birmingham helped fuel the fire that eventually ended the long fight for equality. Out of the many catalysts that contributed to the civil rights movement, the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church could be considered one of the worst. This massive tragedy killed 4 young girls and severely injured another, gaining national media attention and sympathy. This event became a motivation for many to participate in the civil rights movement, as they finally saw how brutal and violent their reality truly was.
On the morning of September 15th, 1963, around 200 people had gathered at the 16th Street Baptist Church for Sunday school classes. At 10:22 a.m., at least 15 sticks of dynamite planted under the front steps exploded, spraying brick and mortar and caving in the interior walls. As smoke filled the building, most of the parishioners were able to evacuate the building. Among the victims, 4 young girls were found buried under rubble in the basement. These 4 victims were Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Denise McNair, and Carol Robertson. Sarah Collins, Addie Mae's sister, was also severely injured in the blast and lost her right eye. Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, and Carol Robertson were all 14, while Denise McNair was only 11. After the horrible incident, Addie Mae, Cynthia, and Carol had a joint funeral, attended by more than 8,000 people. Denise, however, had a private funeral, attended only by close family members and friends.
Segregation affected our entire country, people of color feeling most of the effects. The KKK and other hate groups terrorized black communities throughout the country by burning down homes, planting explosives, and committing other violent hate crimes. With the KKK at its largest and the civil rights movement in full swing, something terrible was bound to happen.
The malicious attack on the 16th Street Baptist Church marked a turning point that greatly changed the world's perception of the movement. In 1971, the case was formally reopened. Witnesses were able to identify Robert Chambliss, a Klan member, as the individual who planted the bomb. Strong evidence shows that he purchased dynamite no less than 2 weeks before the bombing, under the cover that it would be used to clear land that the KKK had previously purchased.
On November 14, 1977, Robert Chambliss, who was then 73 years old, stood trial in Birmingham's Jefferson County Courthouse. Chambliss was initially indicted on September 24, 1977, charged with 4 counts of murder relating to each victim of the 1963 church bombing. Robert Chambliss died in the Lloyd Nolan Hospital and Health Center on October 29, 1985, at the age of 81. Chambliss has been confined to a solitary cell to protect him from attacks by fellow inmates. He had repeatedly proclaimed his innocence, insisting Gary Thomas Rowe Jr., the initial perpetrator.
10 years after his death, the FBI discreetly reopened the investigation. After the findings of much more evidence, they finally had enough to make their claims. In May of 2000, the FBI publicly announced their findings that the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing had been committed by 4 members of the Ku Klux Klan, known as the Cahaba Boys. The 4 individuals named in the FBI report were Blanton, Cash, Chambliss, and Cherry. At the time of the announcement, Herman Cash was deceased. However, Thomas Blanton and Bobby Cherry were still alive. Both were arrested soon after.
After the bombing, a great majority of the U.S. that didn't support the civil rights movement changed their mind. Many people became supporters and began to see the violent truth of their prejudice. With a great deal of the U.S. supporting the civil rights movement, people finally began to take action. As the civil rights movement continued, more people began to listen and support the movement, bringing us to where we are today.
While racism is still a very hot topic in our society today, it is not as prevalent as it was all those years ago. Without the bravery and perseverance of all those who fought to end the segregation of colored people, we would not be where we stand today. Though the sympathy gained through the attack helped further the movement, it didn't fully fix everything. Many people still continued to be hateful and ignorant until the March on Washington occurred. The Birmingham bombing was a catastrophic event that, despite the terrible tragedies that occurred, helped change our nation for the better. It influenced the end of the civil rights movement, which saved the lives of many colored children and adults. It helped reduce the amount of hatred in our world and unite our country.